Alright, somebody's walked the heck out of this right over here, but apparently they didn't come right over here. Look at that, it's laying on the plastic. I don't know if it's broken or a blunt. Awesome, it's a blunt or a hafted scraper. Kurt corner notched. Can't tell the material in this lighting, but that's a beauty. Really well made. January 29th, 2025, and I've got my first piece. Looks like maybe a little Matanzas or a Brewerton. Real shallowly side notched. March 8th, 2025, and this is my first hunt in a long time. It's been a couple months since I went out, and it looks like I may have a point here. Let's hope it's all there. It is. Not sure what that is, but some kind of stem point that's worked down to almost a drill. Been resharpened so many times. Cool. Got another one here on the other end of the site where I just picked up that skinny one, and I've already knocked this one out of the ground. It was more hidden than this. It had more dirt on it. I didn't even realize it was an arrowhead. So that's two. Probably nothing. Looks like a tip. It's a Madison triangle. I've got my little fossiliferous point laying here. Just a bit of the tip gone. A nice Karnak, heat treated Harrodsburg. We have something here. Another stem point. Flake point. Looks like I've got me a nice pestle laying here. Yes, indeed. It's really smooth on the bottom, has a little bit of a divot. Haven't found one of these in a while. Awesome. It's like a killer broken piece. Here's another Karnak. Fossiliferous shirt again, Harrodsburg. Late archaic again. I just flipped this with my stick, but it sure looks like I got a point here. Probably the best one of the day, and I didn't get it in situ. Get out of the shadow. Tip's gone. And here lays a Riverton point, made out of Stanford shirt, just laying there. Beautiful little point. Somebody left this behind probably 5,000 years ago, and here it is with the sun just shining on it. Look at the beautiful color in that. It's just a little bird point, but it is just such an adrenaline rush. This is a major thrill. So I'm going to pick this one up. That is a nice little point. This is probably nothing, but it looks like it could be a work tip. It's a point. Another Karnak McWhinney late archaic stem cluster. See that from a mile away. I think I may have a blunt out of heat treated material. Let's see. Sure is. Brewer Trim and Kansas. This is a late archaic stem piece, fossiliferous Harrodsburg chert. Tell if that thing's whole or broke, it's so muddy. Another nice Riverton. Looks like I got me a Riverton out of heat treated Harrodsburg chert. Nice. Another Riverton. That's 3 today. Started this second field. This one's just laying here, waiting to be picked up. Okay, Jacob. Is that broken? Or is that all there? Just a little bit off the base, or is that made that way? I can't tell from here. Looks like a sliver's off of it.
Yeah.
It's like a drill almost. Real narrow point. Nice point. Probably broken, let's see. Oh, it's there. Nice early woodland stem piece. Wyandotte chert. Decent point. April 15th, 2025, tax day. Yeah, that hurt. We had the 4th biggest flood in history. 1913, 37, and 2005 were bigger. 61 came close, and 96. But anyway, this is one of the biggest floods we've ever had, so I thought there might be some good hunting, so I've looked in a bunch of washes. This is the 3rd farm I've been to today, and there's just nothing washed out. It's amazing we had that big of a flood. I shouldn't say nothing. There's a little bit of washing, but it's not anything like you would anticipate with a big flood like this. So just almost no bare ground, no chert flakes showing. There were times back in the 80s when I'd come, and even 90s on this, I'd come to this hill and there'd be all kinds of stuff washed out. But I guess no-till actually works because the soil held its ground. It's not just no-till. I've seen it no-till and it just got stripped down to the hard pan. But this year the flood was not a cutter. Some floods are depositors, some are cutters, and some don't do much. And this one, not a lot of silt laid down, so it wasn't a depositor. But it also definitely wasn't a cutter. It just kind of didn't really do much of anything except make everything wet. But anyway, so I was messing around down there and I came up above, you know, I wasn't thinking we also had like 8 inches of rain right before all this flooding. That's why we had the floods. So I came up here in the field, and even though it's no-tilled and everything, after 8 inches of rain, it did some good. So was not expecting this. This is some kind of a early woodland stem piece out of beautiful Indian Creek chert. Just laying there totally wide open. I was not expecting this at all. So I'm gonna pick it up now. April 21st, 2025, and the flood, we had a historic flood, but it didn't wash anything out. It just kind of left everything on. It didn't put down silt, but it also didn't carry anything away. It almost left the ground untouched. I've never seen such a big flood do so little. So there's a big washout in this field that I'm looking at that is usually loaded with artifacts, but there's nothing showing. So I was walking around the edge of the woods, and I happened to look at this pile of rocks, and look at here. Fossiliferous Harrodsburg chert, that's something. Lost Lake. A nice one. So April 21st, the point I found, this is speckled fossiliferous Harrodsburg chert. This is a Lost Lake, early archaic. The base is heavily grand. You can see it's highly beveled where they've resharpened it. And it's just beautiful piece, almost perfect. Looks like maybe just like a millimeter of that barb on that shoulder got knocked off. That was the part that was kind of exposed there, and it was in a pile of rocks, so I guess it got tumbled. But that is a beautiful point, really old point, and a fantastic find. I'm in this farm lane where I found a Riverton point January 1st, and wish I'd have got this on film. There's just a little bit of a tip sticking out like that, and I thought it was just a piece of limestone and pulled it, and pretty nice little point came out. Actually not a little point either. April 22nd, 2025, and I've got my first one. It's like a pine tree with just a little bit off of the base. My goodness, thing is exquisitely thin. It's just got a little ding there. Still a beautiful piece. Somebody's already been here and walked this, but they somehow missed this one just laying here. Kind of looked like a leaf from a distance. There's a lot of black leaves here, and I assume that's how they missed it. It's a hornstone. It's like a Snyder's or a Lost Lake. Probably a Snyder's, but we'll see. I'm just going to admire that one a little bit more. That's awesome. I haven't found something just laying there like that in a while. Pretty piece. I'm going to quickly look at the points I found from January through April 2025. You've seen all these on video, and I spoke about some of them, so I'm not really going to say much. Most of these are just sites where I only found 1 point. Not too many sites have been producing this year, but I've hit a number of sites, so some sites I've only found 1 on. These 2 came from the same site, and there was another site where I found these 2, and then all the rest of them are just, this was off a site, that one's a different site, another site, and so these are all single sites. The only point I really want to look at any detail is this piece. This is made out of classic Indian Creek chert, and just look at the wild color on that. That is from the center of a nodule of chert, so it's got all those swirls where it's kind of like the bullseye. So that is just, it's rare to find that good a color in a point. That one is just beautiful because of the color of the Indian Creek, but that's a pretty typical look for Indian Creek chert. And I think they almost intentionally centered that up right in the point so that it had the bullseye right in the heart of the point. But pretty cool point. So these are all from different sites that I found. Now what I'm getting ready to show you is there's one other site I got into that got turned this year. So I've got these, plus I've hunted one other site. So everything else I'm going to show you is off of just that one other site. All right, so all the rest of this stuff came from one site. I actually only went there about 3 times, and I haven't even walked the entire field yet. There's actually 3 fields that are hooked together, but you could kind of consider them one field. It's about 24 acres, and there's not an inch of it that doesn't have chert flakes, debitage, and things like that on it. This is a site that's been known about for a long time, but it's not been turned for at least a decade, and they turned it not real well this year, but they turned it enough that you could hunt it, and man, there's been a lot of stuff here. This takes me back to the 90s because now everybody no-tails in southern Indiana, but in the 90s I actually had 2 or 3 sites that would produce like this if they turned them well, and it hasn't been like that in years. And when they're no-tailed, you just can't find anything. And you might think, well, that's not bad, they're not going anywhere. But unfortunately, they are going somewhere because about half the time those sites are in no-till. Somebody comes in and puts in a quarry or a housing development, and then the sites and all the artifacts within them are completely destroyed and nobody ever gets to see them. So that's why anytime one of these sites has open ground like that, I do my best to get in there and find everything I can, because it may not be there for future generations. Somebody may not be able to hunt it 100 years from now. It'd be nice if these fields in no-till, someday somebody would find the stuff and it would still be there, but more often than not, a quarry goes in, a shopping mall goes in, a housing development, something like that, and the sites get destroyed. But this is all one site, and we've really enjoyed hunting this year. It's almost all Harrodsburg or Allen's Creek fossiliferous chert. There's really no reason to make a distinction between them. They're almost identical and they overlap a lot, so there's really not a whole lot of reason to split hairs on the identification. I'm just going to point out a few. Most of the stuff is late archaic, French lick face stuff, so we're talking Karnak points, McWhinney points, or Churchill and Modesto points. That's another set of names that are used for these points. These are in, 3500 BC, something like that. But I'll just look at a few different, but there's a whole range of stuff, so I'm going to look at some of the different things. Here's a nice conical pestle, because it's shaped like a cone, and typical flat here on the bottom on the grinding surface, and it has just a little bit of divot in the bottom, which is pretty typical of these pestles. So that one was on video when I found it. That was a nice one. This is neat. This is a core, and a core is where they have driven skinny little flakes, almost like razor blades, off of a big piece of chert. You can see each one of these little lines going down through there is where they have driven off one of those blades. This is pretty common on middle woodland sites, and usually higher grade materials like hornstone or flint ridge. It's not real common to see this nice of a core out of Harrodsburg, so that's why I wanted to show this. This is a dandy of a core, and it is made out of Harrodsburg chert. There's different time ranges. The oldest thing here would be this St. Charles or dovetail point base. My wife actually found this. This has a heavily ground base. This is early archaic, maybe 9,000 years, 10,000 years old or older. So really, really old piece here. And we go all the way up to, here's some ceramics. Here's some Oliver Phase pottery. There's also a Madison Triangle point. These are probably just in the range of 600 to 1,000 years old based on this area and sites that have been obtained. It's probably about those are probably about 700-year-old point and 700-year-old chert of pottery. And then there's just a little bit of everything else. There's a bunch of little Riverton points, Merriam Trimble points, which are terminal late archaic points. There's Brewerton Matanzas. This piece is really neat. I'm still on the fence between it's either Flint Ridge chert or it's Carter Cave or Paoli chert. It's really shiny. When you hold it up to the sunlight, it's fairly translucent. There's a hafted scraper. It's got that scraping edge or a blunt. All types of different tools and bifaces. Just a pretty cool sight. So can't wait to get back in this field and hunt the rest of it. I've probably hunted 18 of the 24 acres is all I've actually gotten to yet. And it hasn't really had a real good heavy rain on it. It's worked out, not great, but pretty good. You saw a lot of these in the video, but it's just been a blast finding these. But this is single site, 3 hunts. So I wish I had about 10 more sites like this, but man, it's been a fun spring, and it's made this year that's been hard to hunt a lot better. As you saw, if it weren't for this site, I'd only have maybe a dozen whole points at this point in the year, but instead I've got, a whole table full of stuff. So I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you're all finding stuff wherever you're at and saving things from being destroyed by development. And hopefully I'll have another video for you pretty soon if the hunting picks up. Thank you.